You have to love when something you're working on just works, and getting back to my React roots has made the part of the process of building a cursory UI for my Auto CC control center pretty easy for me. And even though it's early and there's not a lot of stuff that it does at the moment, and I've managed to address a bunch of the concerns and ideas that a load of you have put into the comments, which have been amazing. So let me show you what I've done. And before we do, let's just address the elephant in the room. Yes, I cut off all my hair, bar the middle bit. I had a mohawk for years and I really missed it, so it's back. Let's move on. Gonna look at things from a rare, over the shoulder, what Andy sees. This is my setup. Anyway, the important thing is this thing in the middle, which is just a browser. And at the moment, my computer is connected to the Wi-Fi that is being broadcast by this ESP32. And it's got a web server, which is running a small React application, which is what we can see here. And also I have connected to that Wi-Fi Auto CC350Z on my phone. And if I just refresh that page just to show that it's actually live, it loads up. And on here we have two things which are currently showing as offline: brake lights and tell time, which are the two other ESP32 devices that we've been using there, and that one, which we're not going to use for this demo, that we've been using throughout building this application. So at the moment, they're both offline. So if we take lights here, I'm just going to plug it in. And if we keep an eye on both of these, give it a sec, there we go. So brake lights has come online and it says that it has 6 options. So if I click onto brake lights, it opens up and we've got the bunch of options that we had before. I'm just going to click on them on here as well. And we've got the same ones there, and we can see they're basically the same. And what I like is this thing. So if I turn brake light off here, it'll go there and it'll turn off there, and then the same. So if we start to update one of these, they persist throughout all of the other devices which are currently attached to the system. And it's doing that without using WebSockets, without any permanent persistent connections. It's doing that just basically on polling for changes. It's really, really simple, but all this works really nicely. And so whether or not you start up the server, if it starts up and every device is online, these will just all be online. But if you then connect, or like if we take lights now and we disconnect it, and we just give it a second, they both go offline. So it all works, and then we have this kind of like code allocation, which gives each thing a unique ID, and it doesn't break anymore. So if we switch lights back on, it comes back online, all this still works. A common question I've been asked about this is why? Why bother when things like Home Assistant or ESP Home exist? What is this doing that those things don't? And it's actually kind of twofold for me. One, how lightweight of a solution it is, and two, having it being completely self-constructing and non-persistent. So if you go into using something like Home Assistant, is it fantastic for what it does? Yes, it is. It's a great, great application. But in order to get it running, you need to use like a Raspberry Pi, probably a 5. And then they recommend that you have at least a 32 gig memory card in there to run that. So you're talking kind of like 70 to £100 worth of setup. I know their green package that you buy, which has got everything like pre-installed on it, is like 80 quid, and it requires several gig of memory card memory and RAM and all that kind of stuff that comes from having that larger system. This runs the entire thing, the server, the web server, and everything else off an ESP32, which is like, what, £4? No other memory cards or anything required. And at the moment, sure, it's in its very early stage and it's only got the top level menu, which clicks through to a sub menu, which then has button types and slider types. But the entire application, including all of the Arduino code, the communication with JSON in between the Arduino and the React front end, the React front end itself, Material UI, which is being used to make the prototyping really quickly. The entire thing is currently, let me check, 156 kilobytes in size for everything, which basically means you can run it on any ESP32 type chip. So that's reason one why I've bothered doing this. Reason two, like I say, is the self-constructing stuff. And when I went into looking at using Home Assistant for the first time, one of the big things about it is it's, reasonably simple to set up, but you do still have to know about YAML files and how to set up Node and, have all of that stuff run and how to do the constructors. And then you've got to know how to, build things within your UI and make your dashboard and how to hook those two things up. What I wanted to remove for this is the necessity to really ever touch the server. Sure, there are going to be people who are going to want to customize it, and they're going to be able to do that because once I release all of the React code, you can go in there and play about with it and change it to however you want. But for the majority of people, they're probably just going to want a simple UI that they can access through your phone, which has got some simple controls for doing things like buttons and lights and all that kind of stuff. And you probably don't want to have to spend the time setting things up, diving into these files, learning what a YAML file is if you've got no, history of doing any kind of, compiling and, that kind of building of web applications. So by doing it the way that I've done it, which is where you just come into your Arduino IDE and you define the structure of your options within the INO file in these currently 6 options, and that's it. Makes it really easy for those kind of people with no experience of, compiled web systems to come in and actually allow their own Arduino package to communicate and be controlled by this system. So that's why I'm doing it, despite the existence of much more rounded, much more better scoped, much more feature-rich products that already exist. Really, like 6 weeks ago when I started this, I had no intention of releasing it. I was going to build a control system for me to create things for my car, which then automate potentially with some things in my house, and it was for me, and that was it. So I didn't care what anybody else thought, but as I've done more of it, it seems like some people are potentially interested in creating things in this system because of its simplicity. So that's why we've now released it, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens with it going forwards. It might migrate, it might become something bigger, or it might just stay as a little small niche thing, which is, really only used for very specific applications. And the reason I built it like I have with these specific applications is to be really lightweight, so it can just run on an ESP32 chip, really easy to integrate, so I can quickly build devices and put them in the car and then just literally turn them on and they're there in my dashboard, ready to control. And, it's a kind of like a no-fuss solution. I like it for me. Whether or not anybody else is going to like it or use it, I don't want to say I don't care, because obviously it's nice when people like to use your stuff, but I don't really at the end of the day. But it's out there, and the rest of this week I'm working on other UI types and kind of like, I'm going to spend a little bit of time making the UI actually nice. We'll put some transitions in there and we'll just make it like look all cool. That's something I used to specialize in, so we can make something that's really sweet. And then I'm just gonna stick all the React code online, and I'll do an instructions of how to take that file, upload it to an ESP32 and just run it. You don't really need to do anything. You can do everything that we're doing here. If you don't want to change the UI to your own, way it looks, if you just want to use the thing that I create, you'll literally just be uploading a HTML file and a JS file to the root of the ESP32. That's it, you're done. And it's really, really simple. In this video, I don't want to dive into any code because it's like roasting hot here in the UK today, and I am sweltering, and I'm going to go for a big long drive out in the Cheddar Gorge with some mates this afternoon. So I am not going to sit here sweating looking at code. Instead, we'll come back sometime later in the week after I've got a bit further on, We'll look at some of the React code, how it works and how it communicates from React into the Arduino, and then how the Arduinos all communicate and how that kind of like persistency is done, even though we're using ESP-NOW. I think that's an important thing to remember. There's no Bluetooth connection between devices. There's no Wi-Fi connection between devices. How it works is, you know, as soon as one device wants to do something, it just broadcasts what it wants to do, and then it just waits for something to either pick that up or respond or whatever. There's no data persistence layer at all. So as soon as you're not using anything, as soon as, you know, you've switched your server off, none of the devices communicate. They all become individual until you switch that thing on again. And I think that's important. Someone was questioning about the safety behind making this application, like if you were running brake lights off a wireless connection. Not something you should do. What it would be is that the brake lights would be hardwired into one of these, and then just your other one, your server, is just telling this one what options it can have. It's like a control system to change the options of this, not to actually run the function of this, which might be, you know, turning a brake light on and off. That we like to keep wired, which is why Canvas is wired. It's a whole safety thing. But I don't think we're very far from being able to do all that wirelessly if we wanted and have it be completely secure. We've just got to let the technology keep progressing. So yeah, if you do want to see the other videos in the next few days where we take a dive into creating all that application layer, the data layer, and then how we've put the UI on top of it and how we're serving that to various devices and all that kind of stuff, make sure you hit subscribe, and then that video will be winged to your inbox sometime in the next few days. That's not quite how YouTube works, but you know how YouTube works by now. And if you do like this idea and you get it and you see why I've done it, give this video a little thumbs up so I know that somebody out there understands my weird brain and what is going on and why I'm spending so much time doing all of this for literally no money. Anyway, whatever you do with the rest of your day, folks, have a wicked one, and I will see you very soon for the next video. Take it easy. Bye-bye.